do that. Okay. Oops, maybe I shouldn't do that because then I can't drink my water. I had it leaned up against my water bottle. Okay, so let's see. So you had a chance to possibly look at the questions that I put out there? Yeah? Yes? Was that both for you as well? That was, I know actually, did you both say that you had seen it? You can't? No, you're fine. Did you guys both see that, the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I did.
Okay. I mean, the overall thoughts on those questions, did they seem super difficult, super hard? Not, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. I'm definitely not big fans of the questions. I mean, they're almost more like information gathering types of questions as opposed to ones that really figure out some things about the job candidate. I mean, you would not generally have these types of questions in a typical interview because the goal is ultimately to try and get as much information about the candidates as possible. And these questions just don't seem to do it. Now, I will tell you that we definitely have these questions available to us. Okay, I'm definitely going to make sure that you guys have good answers to these questions. And then actually on Monday, you guys are going to be giving me you guys are actually going to be giving me the answers to these questions. But today, I mean, pretty much we're just going to talk about how I feel and how you think that you would answer these types of questions in a way that St. Elizabeth is going to ultimately hire you. Okay. So, I mean, I guess we've got, let's just run through these things real quickly. I will say, let's see. I mean, yeah, I mean, most questions, I mean, most interviews, they're really trying to pull information out of you. These are not very deep questions. And when I put at the top of the document, these are the ones that scream success for all of you if they use these things exclusively. Okay, there is no reason that all of you should just not absolutely nail these questions. Okay, already the interview is going to be one that is, I think, going to be very friendly to the interviewees. So you don't need to have any sort of apprehension. If you are prepared on these questions, and these are the ones that you're going to use or that they're going to use, you're going to do great. Okay. After Monday and on Tuesday, we're going to start working in terms of interviewing, but not so much as having the advantage of actually having the questions. Okay. In fact, hopefully we'll actually start even sooner on what we're going to be doing on Tuesday, because I mean, yeah, we can bet for the most part that they might use these questions, but I would never want to take it to the bank with at least giving you guys some opportunity to, I guess, practice on some things that are actually more common in interviews. But let's take a look here at the first question. Okay, it's a two-part question. Again, I hate it, but that's what is rather common. Anyway, the first one is, what are your expectations for this internship? Okay, I mean, what sort of expectations would any of you have? Maybe not just about this one, but about any sort of an internship. I mean, any thoughts as to what you might throw out, any of you?
Working alongside professionals.
Okay, I mean, my in-person person, Corinne, she mentioned just working with real people in the job field, a job field that I'll say probably interests all of you. I mean, everyone that I have there. Okay, Julian, you are computer science. Jordan and Mackenzie, are both of you biomed pre-nursing? Yeah. Okay. Biomed pre. What are you? You're an engineer. Okay. So you're not. Which one did you apply for?
Business.
Okay. So, yeah, I will say that I mean, definitely you're going to be exposed to working with a professional in a field that you have interest in. I think that's excellent. What other sorts of things might you possibly expect out of this internship if you were to get it?
I think it will give us like a good idea of the environment, like especially for the ones that are in the medical field. That once we go in, we'll kind of understand the environment that we'll be working in.
Exactly. It would be highly advantageous for anyone who would be doing anything even remotely medical related, possibly in their future, to definitely say not only the working alongside professionals part of it as being important, but also in terms of specifically the biomed pre-nursing types. I mean, actually working in that field of study, getting perhaps a deeper type of knowledge of things that go on, not necessarily professional types of things, but a little bit deeper. I mean, Julian, yourself, computer science. What do you think you can expect out of an internship? I mean, is there anything else other than maybe what these people have mentioned? I mean,
I actually got accepted for the marketing one.
you got accepted?
I'm not doing the IT one. I'm doing the marketing one. That's what they told me on the phone.
Okay, so I guess that's kind of business as well. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
so tell me, I mean, what sort of thing do you think, I mean, you get an internship, what are you going to get out of it?
I'd say interactions, because business is more face to face and talking with people now, and
Yeah,
that's really what I want to get out of it.
I mean,
more than anything else.
I think that, I mean, combining both types of answers, I mean, definitely there is benefit for the biomed pre-nursing types to be able to respond that not only they're getting exposure to definitely things, something in the medical field, but also exposure to something on the professional side. But for individuals in terms of business, I mean, definitely the exposure to a real life professional. But I think also additionally, everyone could also be able to throw in that this is a large and I mean, it is a very successful company in Northern Kentucky. They are definitely somebody that is, I mean, that a lot of people want to try and work for. I mean, they're a large employer. And I think that, I mean, it's definitely going to, whatever your specialty may be, I mean, it's definitely going to give you exposure, and being able to work for a company like St. Elizabeth is definitely going to be advantageous to your career. So, I mean, I think just exposure to professional sides of things, exposures to the actual professionals, exposure to working for a very large and leading company in Northern Kentucky. I mean, those are all great things that would be good to say about that. Again, kind of putting a twist on it business wise, putting a twist on it medical wise, depending on what your actual position is. Okay. So, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, it's a very generic question. What are your expectations for this internship? I mean, you throw those types of answers out. I mean, then those are the types of things that they'll be taking note. Okay, Mackenzie, she said this, check mark, jot a note down. Yes, that's a good thing. Okay, but additionally, there's the backhand part of the question, and that is, what are you nervous about? Okay, now I didn't get a lot of individuals say that they're necessarily nervous about the whole process of or perhaps interviewing or even the internships themselves. But I mean, I forget. I mean, are you guys individuals that are perhaps nervous in any way, shape, or form about any of this? Hmm? I mean,
I would say that I'm only nervous for the part of like just having to sell myself to someone, but the actual job bit, I'm more excited to just be able to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm not really because it's their job to show us. So it's not like we have to go in there with like all these rules how it works.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, regardless of how much you may feel at comfort with all of this process, I mean, this is definitely. Julian, you've had. I mean, you've done something before at a hospital before, so maybe you do not necessarily feel any sorts of nerves at all, or you've had different types of experiences, all of you, that maybe do not necessarily make you feel too terribly nervous about this. I think it would be worthwhile to, if you have to answer a question like this, um, just make sure that they realize that you are somebody that is realistic. You don't want to. Lots of people nervous about things, even if they are, even if they are super effective at doing things and they've done things many times. A lot of times, there are still, when something is new, there's perhaps a degree of apprehension. Don't hesitate to throw out there that there might be a bit of fear of the unknown. You don't know what type of job necessarily you might get placed into. You've never perhaps been working around old people like Mr. Skeen here. It's going to be perhaps rather different. So if there is some sort of apprehension, don't try to minimize that and just say no, it's all good. But oftentimes, I hate to say it, even adults in situations that they've sometimes done many times over can get at times somewhat nervous, even if it's just a small amount, just when they are put in a new situation. Just make sure that you come across as being very genuine in your response. Okay, there's never any sort of bad thing to be able to come across as genuine. But if for some reason you just say, no, I have no fear of anything, I'm all good, I've got it all nailed down, I never make mistakes, I may not know necessarily what I'm interviewing for, but whatever it is, I know I'll be able to do it. That's great. You can say that. But I think that you should always just kind of temper your response by just making sure you say that, I hate to say it, that you're realistic and that, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of nerves. I can't think that on day one you might not have a little bit of nerves, but whatever the case, okay? Just throw that out there. I hate to say it keeps it real, but it keeps it real, okay? Let's see. The next question, again, love it or hate it, it is what it is. The question is, what word describes you best? It's only seconded to a question such as, if you were a tree, what tree would you be? That's the sort of way I see this. I don't like it, but if there was a word that described you, which one would it be? Why would it? Okay. There's a couple ways to go about doing this. Yeah, you've got to figure out what that word is, but whatever that word is that you decide describes you, definitely make sure that you are going to have at least one example, but maybe even a couple examples to be able to throw out immediately after you say that magical word. And I hate to say it, one of the things that, if indeed they do use these questions, I will tell you, do not, again, if you happen to be that first person, just kind of act like it's still coming to you. You don't want to make it seem like you've had all these questions, you've been prepped. Just make sure it comes across rather fluidly. You might say, well, looks like you're giving good thought to it. Well, I think the thing that best describes me is whatever. Okay. Now, and then you go into, I think I am whatever because of this, and this that I've done previously, and in the times that I've done this, I've been able to exhibit this particular word. Now, as far as the word goes, what is it? I don't know. Does anyone want to throw out a word potentially that they think describes them? I don't know.
Passionate.
What was that?
Passionate.
Passionate. That's a good one. Ah, darn it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, what happens if the person next to you says the exact same thing? Then I hate to say it, it's almost kind of like a competition to see which one of you can be more passionate in your description of what it is. Okay, and that would be a very tough situation, at least for me. That's something that I hadn't even thought of. One thing that I do recommend. Okay, well, that's okay. So we got a double passion. Manessis, you got anything? What describes you?
There's a lot of words that I can think of, but
only one. Okay.
Spontaneous, I guess.
Spontaneous. Spontaneous out of the computer science college guy. Good Lord. You wouldn't have expected that. Okay, very good. How about you?
Probably outgoing.
Outgoing. Okay. Now, those are all great traits, characteristics. Those are great things. I think that they are things that you can definitely back up with examples. I mean, I think the first couple of groups of individuals that I spoke to today about these things, they were kind of giving me rather wishy-washy types of answers. Maybe they weren't giving me stuff that we could really dig into. I mean, honestly, I will say that if you are, I mean, one thing that you can never go wrong in, and I encourage all of you to maybe take a look at this. If any of you were able to do a Google search on professional skills, okay, if you were to do that, at least the article that pops up first for me, and it's probably different for everybody, but I mean, you get something like 2.8 billion responses or 2.8 billion things that you can look at. I mean, you could probably spend the better part of your life just flipping through them. But I mean, things such as creative, critical thinker, competent or intelligent, somebody who is ethical, somebody who is honest, somebody who is humble, somebody who has a great deal of integrity, somebody who's patient. I mean, these are all great words. And I mean, if you guys all feel good about it, what you said, I mean, I don't fault any of those types of responses that you've given me. Okay. I mean, these are definitely good words that you can use. But again, if you don't feel particularly good about that, I mean, just take a look, and you can never go wrong with mentioning some sort of a professional skill. Now, I mean, Julian, I will challenge you on the spontaneous things. Okay, that's a great trait to have if you are somebody that, I mean, I would love that in terms of a friend. I would love that in terms of a fellow classmate, and I think that's great. But how does spontaneity work its way into the business world?
Sometimes there's things you can't explain that just come out of nowhere in business, and you got to be ready to handle something like that. Or it could be for the good. It doesn't always have to be for the bad.
Okay, then if that is something that you want to say, I would maybe try to tailor your response into something that is maybe a quick decision maker, or able to deal with adversity, or I mean, however you, I mean, using examples that I don't know if spontaneity is necessarily. I mean, spontaneity sounds fun. I mean, I just want to make sure it comes across as serious. I mean, Julian, you are very well spoken. You are going to come across just fine, but I think there's a better way that you could say spontaneity. Okay, that's just my personal thought. I mean, check out a thesaurus. Be able to. I mean, I think the type of example that you gave there, being able to be a person that can react to change, somebody who can switch gears, make decisions, change course. I mean, those are all great things in the world of business. And I would say I just don't think spontaneity hits it. I don't know. Maybe something will come to me that'll come down to just one word. But yeah, it's just not. I don't know. I'm just not fond of it. But what you described was an excellent skill. Okay, passionate. Okay, both of you that said passionate, I want to make sure that both of you that said passionate, I want to make sure that you definitely have some good examples. Okay, ideally, in this type of an interview setting, you will talk about learning types of situations, how perhaps you've gone above and beyond in terms of learning about stuff. You saw something that was really particularly interesting, and I mean, you didn't have to, and you really started to do a whole bunch of uh, diving into it on your own. I mean, just really show something. Or if you want to be able to talk about, I've always been interested in the medical field, and then go through a timeline of various types of things that would demonstrate that. From, I mean, I've always been interested in it. I've always read. I've always done well in biology types of classes. I've always, whenever I encounter anybody in a medical field, I always try and ask some questions of them. Things like that. I mean, you just want to show, if you throw out passionate, you just want to throw out just examples that really show that passion. Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Can I?
Yeah.
So for the reason that like I chose passion, like the reason that I would choose passion is like, it's not really the story of like me, but it's like the story of like why I want to be in the medical field.
Okay.
And then it's like because my sister was in and out of the hospital because she was little.
Okay.
And then so like seeing them and how much passion they had for taking care of my sister and like seeing what they did for us, I kind of like, that was like the perspective of like, I want to do the same for someone else in the future.
Then
but I don't think that would really.
Okay, so I think what you might be interested in mentioning is, I mean, you are, I mean, a skill that would somehow relate to, I mean, there's empathy. I mean, feeling concern for someone else. If you are empathetic, you are showing concern for other people. I mean, you've been exposed to people in the medical professional field. You really liked the way that individuals that you've been exposed to definitely have that type of trait where they not only are caring for somebody physically, but they are showing a great deal of care for them on a personal level. I mean, if it's that type of passion, I would maybe try to find something that describes that caring for other individuals. Empathy is one thing that kind of pops into my mind, but I mean, again, just like Mnesis, I mean, look up a synonym for that, and but again, I don't know if I mean, and you can definitely use passion. I really have. I think I feel very passionately about that because it really impacted me on a personal level, and it's something that I would really like to be in a position to do. I don't know. Okay, but I think, yeah, I mean, you've definitely got a lot of things that you can go in terms of that route, but it's just a matter of making sure you've got some. I mean, the story is great, okay, because you oftentimes want to be able to tell a story, something that is memorable, something that will demonstrate it. I think you just want to find a better word. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Could I maybe use how I did my YLP? Because I put a lot of time and effort into my YLP last year.
Okay.
And would I use that as an example, maybe?
Are you still going the passion route?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever the YLP is, okay, I don't know what it is, and you don't need to tell me about it, but you need to talk about how, whatever it is, you need to talk about how it really interested you. You need to really talk about how it affected you personally, because I mean, to have passion, it's a very emotional type of answer. So I mean, it's definitely something that you're going to feel a lot of emotion about. Okay. So that's definitely a route that you want to go, and it's a good one because you'll then be able to just talk a little bit about what it is without going into too much detail, but really shows how you're able to, I mean, just demonstrate that passion and how you put in all of this time on it. And it was really something that excited me. It was something that I think had a profound effect on me. That sort of thing. Okay, what sort of things would you throw out, Corinne?
Probably throw out just like some of the different things I've done.
Okay.
That show how I'm an outgoing person.
Okay. I mean, again, being an outgoing individual is very important. Okay. I mean, oftentimes individuals who are very reserved sometimes suffer in personal types in situations where it really requires that interaction. I mean, to show the outgoingness, I mean, you would want to say, I think one of the times where myself being outgoing was really important is in this particular situation when I did this, and it really made I was really able to be successful in doing what I was doing. That if I wasn't as outgoing and really pushing forward as I was, it just wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have been as successful. Okay. I mean, if I'm having you guys actually give me your flat out answers on Monday, as soon as we're done with everybody's answers, I'm going to immediately switch over to basically the types of questions that might come at you that will not be on it. And I mean, basically, a lot of it is involved with just telling a story, a situation that you're in, what your role in that situation is, an action that you took, and then how you responded or what the results were or the outcome. Okay, I mean, these are all things that, I mean, if you can tie off everything at the very end with some sort of a positive result, great. Okay, but more of that on Tuesday. We'll worry about the questions that we know. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this one. I mean, again, this is one that I mean, if you've given a good answer in number one, I mean, you can easily steal some of the thunder from number one. There is nothing wrong with repeating some of this stuff, but the question is, why have you chosen to apply for the St. Elizabeth Senior Internship? Another two-part one. Why is this why in this internship instead of another one? Okay. I mean, I think you can pretty much answer this really well as long as you just don't say, well, it was the first one available. Okay, as long as you don't say that one, it is maybe the first one that has become available to you here at Ignite. But I will say that I mean, again, all of this stuff that we were talking about, you get this exposure to the real world of work where you get to work with actual professionals. You get to have some exposure to a career field that you have interest in. And I mean, just in general, the experience of being a young person in a position that generally is surrounded by old people, that whole idea of the young person being in there, I mean, I think it's just incredibly valuable. Okay. I mean, you're going to, if you've said those things in number one, I mean, you're going to be saying a lot of the same sort of stuff again. I mean, I think it's going to be a great opportunity to figure out if this whole business thing is something that I'm interested in. I think I have a great deal of interest in it right now, but I think it'd be very valuable to me to have this internship, to actually see somebody working in the real world doing maybe something like such and such. And then you can go on from there. Additionally, I think it's, I mean, all of this stuff is stuff that any internship can provide, but I mean, you want to just tie it in there that, I mean, I just think it's a great opportunity to be working for St. Elizabeth, and they're a great company, they're big, and they're just providing. I think that's why I want to do it. Okay, whatever. I mean, you can spin it however you want. And again, people medical related, I mean, definitely, again, the same sort of professional exposure, the same sort of, I mean, the same sort of working alongside an actual medical professional. I mean, it's good stuff. Okay, you definitely want to throw that out there on why you wanted to apply in the first place. Okay, it's the nature of an internship. Okay, and then, I mean, if they say, well, you didn't really tell me why you wanted to do this internship and maybe not another. Okay, and this is another opportunity where you get to show your passion for it. I mean, you would say that, I mean, I would really like to be able to try and get this position. I think I do really well as an intern for St. Elizabeth. But if for some reason that doesn't work out, I think that I would still continue to try and get other internships that were in the medical field, because I feel very strongly about this particular field. And it's something that I really think that not only does it interest me, but I think I could do a very good job at it. Okay. Again, it's just kind of a reality check. It's a bit of humbleness. I mean, you're going to get a lot of people that you could very well be sitting next to, and it's going to be bing, I'm awesome, I'm white hot, I'm great, it's amazing, I'm going to be the best. Okay, and again, that's great. I mean, there are always going to be people that are like that. Not everybody is like that. Sometimes that sort of a person can turn an interviewer off. Okay, sometimes that's the sort of person that an interviewer wants. Okay, who knows? Okay, but I mean, the vast majority of people are oftentimes somewhat turned off by the person who never admits the possibility of making a mistake, never shows perhaps a little bit of nerves. I mean, again, keep it real, and I mean, just say that, yeah, I mean, if I don't happen to get this job, I still feel really, really strongly about it. Okay. I mean, it shows that you've put some thought into this. It shows that you realize that there are no sure things. You're hopefully laying the groundwork that it is going to be a sure thing. But I mean, by throwing that out there, as long as you throw it out there that, yeah, I think I can be really, I think I could do extremely well at this position. But if I don't, I'm still going to definitely do that. I'm gonna look elsewhere because I feel strongly about it. But I really think that the St. Elizabeth intern opportunity is going to be a really good one that I could be successful at. Okay. Number 4, if you look at it, it is kind of a gotcha type of question. Okay. Who would, I mean, who would answer? Because like, somebody give me an answer for this one. It'll be specific to whatever area you think it is. Somebody give me an answer. What department are you most interested in?
I'd enjoy getting to work.
So for me personally, I'm interested in like the psychiatric field, but I know St. Elizabeth does not have a dedicated psychiatric unit.
Okay.
But type of interpersonal care is something that I feel strongly about learning and growing in. Along with that, just like the ER is another thing that I'm interested in seeing happen in real life and the practices that are in there, because it has been something that's crossed my mind about a future opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is very good to be mentioning things specifically, specific departments, just as the question asks. Okay. And whether you throw down Corinne and Julian things that are specific business related, I like the way that Jordan was also kind of throwing out rationales behind why perhaps the ER, why perhaps the psychiatric. Although I swear that they have some sort of a psychiatric type of unit down at the Florence place. I mean, you might want to do some research specifically on that, Jordan, just to make sure that, or make a phone call or however, or if you know that to not be the case, again, that's just me talking. I don't know anything. But
I
anyway.
know they have partners with some other ones. Like they have some other people that they're partners with.
Okay. Yeah, I know that there was this, well, some guy, he had like a mental breakdown. They like sent him to the St. East Florence, and I don't know what the heck they did with him there. But anyway, but yeah, no, I like the way that she kind of tagged on what was some of the rationale by saying some of these particular departments that she threw out. And again, Corinne and Julian, I mean, throwing out, I think, marketing or throwing out something that, I don't know, accounting, something about human resources. I mean, if there are various parts of business that you're interested in, definitely throw those things out. Mackenzie, is there anything, I mean, is there some department or area that interests you?
So I'm mainly interested in pediatrics, but I'm also some part of my like some ideas because I don't want to choose and set on one specific one because like when you do go in for rotations, it may not even.
Oops. Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I will say that every single one of you needs to say something along those lines. Mention a department that you sound particular or that you feel particularly interested in. I think it's great. Maybe, yeah.
So I want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And I talked to Mr. Bryson,
Uh-huh.
and there's like a chance that they could put me on that.
Okay.
Should I say something about what?
Yeah, I mean, I have an interest in the law. I mean, there are a lot of. I mean, I would also throw out, and it's going to be the second part of the question that is actually the gotcha part of the question. I would definitely throw out, yeah, I have a great interest in the law. I mean, there are other aspects of business that are kind of interesting as well, and you throw out some departments or some roles. But I think one last thing that I want to mention about this question, and this is the gotcha part of it. I personally feel strongly about this. Individuals, I don't want you to box yourselves in that if they can't do exactly what you want, that they are going to have an unhappy intern on their hands. Okay. It's important to say definitely there are things that interest you. There are things that you would love to preference. But I think it's also very important because I think this is, if you get this internship, this is the sort of thing that easily for the next 5 years that in job interviews of whatever type it is, you can say that, yeah, I was chosen as an intern for a very large hospital in Northern Kentucky, or if they know what it is, you could say I was chosen as an intern by that, my senior year of high school. I mean, this is all stuff that is going to be relevant here in the very near term. So the thing that I tell you about this question is you definitely want to preference stuff, but in my perspective, the gotcha part of this question is don't say that I only want to do that. I would throw in every bit of preference that you have an interest in and perhaps why it interests you. But then at the same time, I would say, but at the same time, I would feel very honored to be chosen for an internship in any sort of capacity. Okay. Because I hate to say it, a lot of times the mere mention of the word internship is just like, whoa, it's so, oh my gosh, you got an internship. Okay. I think that the value of the internship period to your very young careers, I think could be very positive. So if for some reason you have a great interest in pediatrics and unfortunately they stick you in geriatrics, you just want to make sure that they're aware of the fact that, yeah, I may not be super happy about it, but I'm not going to be somebody who's going to be grousing around about the fact that, oh, darn it, I'm not in what I wanted. Okay. Again, this is a deal where you need to see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is about, I hate to say it, putting things on your resume, things that give you things to talk about in future job interviews. Okay. And that's why I think this internship is very important for all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, the
Yeah.
experience overall,
Yeah.
like being able to do anything inside the internship would
Yeah,
be.
I mean, particularly individuals that are medical focused, but I mean, even business period. I mean, if law interests you and they are able to somehow do that, good Lord, you'll be mentioning that well past 5 years. You could say, well, my real interest was sparked before high school, but then all of a sudden I got this internship. And if they somehow stick you in something like that, then great. Okay, and then again, that's something that comes up. I mean, same thing. I mean, Manassas business wise, what do you think in business?
I like marketing and business administration, things like that.
Okay, so I mean, again, I think the big picture for you is, I mean, just being in a professional type of office setting. I mean, if they stick you in some area that is accounting related, I mean, I hate to say it, you go to college and you're going to be, unfortunately, you'll be taking plenty of accounting classes, whether you want to or not. You'll probably end up taking 4 classes, 2 years of it, because that's just what they do to business majors. So, but I mean, just make it clear to them that if they don't stick you where you want to, definitely preference, but if they don't do that, it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay. Let's see. So, I mean, again, answer the question true, preference it, but again, asterisk at the end there. Let's see. Number 5 here. I mean, this is a horrible question, but they ask it apparently just the same. Do you know what time commitment you can make? Okay, I'm going to tape record Bryson. He's going to tell you what the slots are going to be. The state of Kentucky mandates it that you are only able to do this internship for credit during the school hour days. They're not going to stick you on night shift. They're not going to ask you to come in at 6 a.m. It has to be during the school day. Boone County wants it that way. The state of Kentucky that. So it is what it is. You can say that Mr. Bryson said, at least at Ignite, I have been told that there are morning positions. And when I publish this video of Bryson, you can talk about, well, it's at such and such time in the morning, such and such time in the afternoon. I'm fine with working either of those types of hours. I'd be more than happy to do more. They won't ask you. Because historically they have not, but they might very well at times. If you're in the middle of something and it's going to take 10, 15 more minutes to finish off, they want to be able to know that, hey, if I've got said intern in front of me, is this going to be somebody who is not only going to do the job during the hours, but might be willing for a nominal amount of time thereafter, just to be able to knock out whatever sort of job they might be doing. Okay, but you just want to make sure that you do not say something like, "Oh, well, I sure can't work those morning hours; those are killers," or "Oh, those afternoons. I really like working in the morning. I don't like working in the afternoons because I've always got this stuff." I mean, you're stuck essentially going to school during the school hours. Just say you're wide open to it. I'm sure there's definitely an ability to preference things if they move forward. However, you want to just be able to show that you are good and flexible. Okay. Again, nobody likes to have people that are just only going to be doing certain times. People that are flexible are always easier to work with. Okay, so just remember that. I mean, you may be an amazing candidate, but if they just can't make it work in a certain time that you can only do, you might be on the outside looking in. Okay. If at all possible, say you're available whenever. But what you've been told, at least by Mr. Bryson, our internship coordinator, is that typically they run 2 shifts, one in the AM, one in the PM. They run these hours. I mean, it shows that you're knowledgeable, but I hate to say it, that it is what it is. That's when they're going to be. So if they ask some sort of screwy question like this, they're going to get a pretty boring answer, but it is what it is. So, number 6. Oh, another horrible question here. What is your feeling about attendance at school? Okay, Mackenzie, are you going to immediately, as soon as you hear that question, raise your hand and say, I think school attendance is just, I think it's worthless. I don't think I ever need to show up to school. I think it's totally dumb. I don't think I need to ever show up. Is that what you're going to say, Mackenzie? She froze. Is that what you're going to say, Mackenzie? Is that what you're? Is that what?
I can't really hear.
Oh, you can't hear. Okay. I mean, obviously,
No, sorry, it's either my computer. My computer keeps glitching. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, your voice is glitching for me too.
It's me too.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not just you.
mine is
I didn't hear
glitching.
anything you just said.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Unfortunately,
You're lagging for me a lot.
let me kill the video. Maybe that might help. Let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it's not as laggy.
It's not as bad. Okay. Unfortunately, I've got you on my phone as I am unfortunately trying to tape myself for anybody that bothers messing it with my computer. But I mean, in terms of this question, I mean, number 6, what is your feeling about attendance? Okay. You definitely want to make sure you don't say how dumb attendance is. And I mean, if you've got an okay excuse, you can go ahead and miss work. Okay. Just make sure that that's not the sort of thing that is coming out of your mouth. I mean, essentially talk about how important it is to be at school in this environment, in this time. Again, I mean, maybe all of you that are virtual might be able to say that, yeah, I mean, again, if it's truthful or not, I don't know, but maybe you felt that perhaps you've missed out on things because you were not actually physically at school. I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not. But again, this question is begging for a candidate to say that they think attendance is important. That's something that I am definitely very good at. That's hopefully something that you can say honestly. But if, I mean, you basically want to say that, no, I'm not somebody that generally misses work. I realize that it's important to be at work. I mean, I've had a couple jobs where there were people that weren't there, or I was on several teams where some of these people, they wouldn't come to practice. And as a result, they weren't as conditioned or weren't ready. I mean, all sorts of things. I mean, generally someone else has to pick up the slack when somebody is gone. Okay. You just want to make sure that you say something along those lines, just to make sure that, yes, you are the person that is not going to miss work. Again, it's not a favorite of mine, but it is definitely something that, yeah, it's something. Okay. Let's see. Last but not least, I will tell you that it is, which location would you most be willing to work at? Uh, Again, in my mind, it doesn't matter. Historically, they have only stuck people at Florence. They only stick people at Edgewood, and on a very rare occasion, they have put people at Fort Thomas. Okay, but Northern Kentucky is not as big as the continental United States. We're talking rather manageable types of distances between all 3 of those campuses. I mean, I'll say that there are probably ones that you could say, I would love to be able to work in Florence. It's the one closest to where I am. But again, just like the whole department discussion that we just had, I would be able to say, I would be happy to work wherever because I think it's a great opportunity, because I think I can do well at this job. I'm very qualified for this job, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay. I mean, those are the questions. They are what they are. But I mean, they're not the type of questions that you're going to get in your future job interviews for real types of jobs. Yes.
St. Elizabeth has all the business parks.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going out for the business one, should we like?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't rattle off where these various business parks are for St. E's, and maybe it would show your interest, your dedication to looking for the position. So maybe you look up. I know that a lot of the business units are not physically located at the hospitals, but sometimes in office parks and various places. You can maybe rattle off a couple. But I mean, again, it just goes back to, but really it doesn't matter where. I'm just very interested in this opportunity. I mean, again, if you're able to throw some things out there as far as the various locations, again, it just shows that you're not only knowledgeable geographically, but maybe you've done some research as well. Okay. So. Okay. I hope the audio has not been garbage the entire time. I'm so sorry that I just found that out here at the end. I mean, I don't want to torture you much more. I am going to post, unfortunately, the video of all of this here very shortly. But what I will tell you is that, I mean, you guys have any questions of me? I mean, do you see this being very difficult with these types of questions?
No, you just have to put a little bit of effort and thought into it just to make yourself sound not get when you're answering them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a way to give a quick answer, and there's also a way to give an answer that gives you an opportunity to be able to further pump yourself up as a candidate. Okay. Do not feel you are being bragging or boastful in a job interview. It is your goal to talk yourself up because no one else is going to do it. Okay. So don't ever hesitate to do that. I mean, you can give very short, quick answers that will answer the question. But again, you want to be able to take all of these questions that you possibly can and be able to somehow shine it back on you and somehow make them realize that whatever your answer is a trait that you possess, even if it has something to do with what's your favorite location to work at. Okay. So, whatever that may be, so be it. But I'll just say that, yeah, I mean, you guys have any questions on me? No? Okay. I want you guys to have a good weekend. I will put this particular video. If you haven't heard anything from the last half hour, I mean, don't torture yourself too much, but maybe you might want to listen to some of it. Because on Monday, I am going to expect you guys to give me answers for these things. Hopefully you will kind of parrot along, mimic along some of the things that we've talked about. I mean, if you don't feel particularly good about some of the things that I'm saying, I mean, feel free to do it. I mean, I do not have all of the answers, but at least these are how I am seeing some of these questions needing to be answered. But again, I don't have all the answers. Okay. So just be prepared. Okay. Because I'm going to ask Mackenzie, what word best describes you? Okay. And she's not going to say, well, I think I don't even know. But anyway, she's going to give a really rocking answer to whatever that question might be. Okay. So I'm going to say no more. Wish you guys a very good weekend. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Is this a common setup for interviews? Like when you're doing it against a bunch of other people?
Yes. Yes.
That happens a lot.
Every single job is almost always going to be a panel type of interview. Because if that's not what is happening, it is oftentimes going to mean that oftentimes there's going to be multiple callbacks. Businesses oftentimes see the ability to have 4 people in the room all go into town on one person. They'll be able to make the decision right then, right there, and it'll streamline the process.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it is pretty darn